Fox 10 Gulfstream. This is Next Weather.
Thanks for joining us here on Next Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith with an update on why the air feels a little better outside across the Gulf Coast temporarily. Some of this brown stuff showing up on the water vapor loop, and anything brown or black is going to be dry air, and so the humidity is actually lower out there across the region, and that'll continue to some degree into Wednesday, but this is all about to change. Here's the predicted heat index values for Wednesday, and again, generally near 100 and lower. And this is actually good because the heat index is usually, or has been at times this summer, 105 to 110. So we're doing a little better out there. And if you're looking to beat the heat and head to the beach, you're in luck because the forecast looks pretty strong for our beaches tomorrow. The UV index is really high, so you have to put on a lot of sunscreen and reapply if you're entering the water especially. Rip current risk is low though, so that's good. We expect calm surf. In the tropics right now, things look pretty good here. A couple of 10% probability areas we're watching, one coming through the Windward Islands, another one right out here off of the Bahamas. And so that would be this area and this area. We also have a wave coming off of Africa, which could form way down the road and off the northern Leeward Islands. And the odds of development, 10%, 20%, and 10%. So there's some features out there, but there's nothing that's imminently forming, and certainly nothing that's a direct threat to us at this time. Your day planner for tomorrow. Temperature is about 70 inland and about 75 closer to the coast. You can see Mobile, Daphne, Pensacola at around 75 degrees. And then over the next 24 hours, temperatures ramp up into the hot category tomorrow. Remember, the heat index around 100, so it's not going to be off the charts with the humidity, just a little uncomfortable tomorrow. And the heat index will become more and more of an issue with time, because the moisture is increasing. Temps stay about the same. They're above average by a couple of degrees, but the predicted heat index values as we go through the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 105, Sunday at 107, starting to get into that caution area with needing to stay hydrated and that kind of thing. We may see a few thunder showers around Saturday and Sunday, which could help some. Rain chance 30% Saturday and 30% Sunday. Highs in the upper 90s, so that's what we're tracking there. Coming up here on Next Weather, meteorologist Michael White will talk more about the heat, and that's really the big story going forward. We'll have more on that in just a bit.
Can I play? Sure, but you need to bring your own truck. That's not a problem.
The Fox 10 Storm Tracker fleet, taking you live to more places, covering the Gulf Coast like no one else can. Unrivaled experience, unparalleled severe weather coverage.
I think I need a bigger sandbox.
Well, we've had a little break in the action, but that heat dome that's been over the western United States is going to try and move back to the east. And meteorologist Michael White has a look at what all that means for us.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, back here at the house talking about a weather story that I know you've covered a little bit. The dry weather pattern that's settled in across the Gulf Coast. But not only that, the fact that our temperatures are going to go from hot this week to really hot next week. And we're going to go through the reason why that's going to happen, so this way you can start being prepared now, because next week begins the month of August. That's right, we're in the dog days of summer, and the most active part of the hurricane season kicks off August the 1st. But let's talk about the QPF, the Quantitative Precipitation Forecast. This is an outlook on how much rain is projected over the next 7 days. And you can see down here on the Gulf Coast, it would not be a lot at all. Models are hinting at maybe a 1/10 of an inch of rain, and that's it. The majority of the rain would all be over the Florida Peninsula. You can see the rainfall totals there, very impressive, all ahead of that stalled frontal boundary. With us being on the back side of that, we're not going to be dealing with much rain at all. Now, that front is helping to bring in less humid and cooler mornings. The afternoons, though, still toasty, and as you can see, much drier across the Gulf Coast. In fact, this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Now, this is not valid until this weekend. In fact, it's not really valid until Sunday. It kicks off July 30th through August the 3rd, and you can see the Gulf Coast specifically would be dealing with temperatures way above average. And as far as precipitation chances, we would not see much of that at all. So you'll have a weather pattern setting up this weekend and next week where you have above average temperatures and below average rainfall. And with this week already being dry, that means hopefully your area got a good soaking this past weekend, because it's going to be a while till you have another decent shot. So this is the modeling. This is the GFS model, the American model, the global forecast system at 18,000 feet off the ground. And this is valid for tomorrow. Notice that you see the 597 circle around parts of Arizona, New Mexico. That's the upper high. The heat ridge is out west this week. So although our temperatures are hot, the hottest part of the nation is underneath that heat dome out west. But look at how things will look next week. This is a look at the same model for next week, and you can see the upper high will encompass the Gulf Coast. It'll also encompass parts of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, but we are going to be inside that ring, and we are going to be under the influence of hotter temperatures, not just in the afternoon, but also in the morning. Muggier air is going to be coming in. And here's the temperature projections for the next several days. When you see the green bars, the morning lows, when those go up, that means the air is getting more humid. And you can see the air is definitely going to be getting more humid as we kick off the month of August, and the afternoon highs are going to be brutal. The air temperature alone will be around 100 on Monday. The heat index could easily be up to 110 degrees. So we are going to be in for a dry, hot weather pattern, but next week we have to add in higher levels of humidity in the mix. So the dog days of summer are looking to continue. Some years we have dog days of summer that are cooler than average because we get a lot of rainfall, a lot of precipitation, but so far, this is going to be setting up for a drier, hotter summer, so we'll have to buckle up and stay hydrated. I know Jason's going to have a full look at the forecast again coming up right here on this edition of Next Weather. For now, meteorologist Michael White broadcasting from home. Jason, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Michael. And it's not just our area. Of course, it is the entire United States. Millions of people seeing heat alerts, and some cities are reporting temperatures of more than 100 degrees and breaking records after records. Here's more with CNN's Brian Todd.
In Phoenix, first responders are dealing with more calls for heat-related distress. They put this man in a harness filled with ice and cool water to get his body temperature down.
Let's pour water all over him.
Phoenix is at the epicenter of a string of heat alerts across the southwestern U.S., the Plains, and Florida that covered more than 35 million people today. Phoenix has seen 25 consecutive days with a high temperature above 110 degrees.
It's miserable, actually. I don't get out that much. I stay inside.
It's so hot in the Phoenix area that people have been burned just by falling on the ground. One doctor saying the temperature of asphalt can reach 180 degrees in the afternoon.
The pavement is so hot that it only takes a fraction of a second to get a pretty deep burn.
Record heat was expected to continue in El Paso and San Angelo, Texas. South Florida under an excessive heat warning over the weekend, with temperatures that experts said could feel like 112. Hikers at national and state parks in Arizona and California have been warned for weeks that it's dangerous to hike in those remote areas when it's so hot. One expert says it's almost certain that July will be the warmest month the entire planet has seen in recorded history.
As long as we continue to burn fossil fuels and generate carbon pollution and the planet continues to heat up, we're going to see more of these unprecedented extreme weather events.
Unprecedented, extreme, and lethal. According to the CDC, more than 700 people die from extreme heat each year in the U.S.
What's the most common mistake people make in weather like this?
The most common mistake people make is trying to tough it out, trying to think that it's just going to cool off, just trying to think, hey, you know, this is just a little bit of sweatiness, a little bit of nausea. This is no big deal. You can get to a point where you start to become confused and lethargic and tired, and at that point it might be too late for you to even have the wherewithal to call for help. The second most common mistake is not checking on your loved ones and your neighbors.
All right, coming up, we'll have your extended forecast, and it looks like the heat is going to be ours to deal with going forward. More on that in just a bit.
New to the Fox 10 weather app, your 24-hour radar forecast. Be the first to see how precipitation is going to affect your plants across the Gulf Coast. Detailed hour by hour. The 24-hour radar forecast on the Fox 10 weather app. Plus the latest breaking news with the Fox 10 News app.
Got him both.
Stay alert with Fox 10. Prime time is Fox 10 time.
The latest on the night's top stories are first on Fox 10 News at 9.
Wrap up your day, informed and ready for the morning.
All right, here's what we're seeing over the next 10 days, and plenty of sunshine through Friday with temperatures in the mid-90s, but the heat index ramping up, and by Monday it could be as high as 110. We'll also see some scattered showers and thunderstorms as we head into the 1st of August. You can see the temperatures. Normally the first week in August is what we call the dog days of August, and certainly going to be sweltering there too, as most of the numbers appearing to run about 3 to 4 degrees above average all the way through the next 10 days. Thanks for joining us here on Next Weather.